to get back to this DU family tree, I think it's important that we speak on somebody else that was part of that. And the Bay Area hip hop community is definitely feeling the loss of Saafir.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of people don't know that he actually got his start with Digital Underground.
Yeah, before we do that, let me just dive into it really quick. Is like, what I am very proud of about Digital Underground is that, what we did it's still relevant, and people don't even know. People don't know Forax. He's a member of Digital Underground.
Oh, we're going to get to that too.
He was a DJ. You know what I mean? And he produced, and he's a dope artist.
I got a few other people on the list too.
Saafir, Mystic, Gold Money, Tupac, Nummy Numb from the Loonies is part of our collective. They didn't start with us, but they're part of our collective. Who am I missing? Yeah, I said Gold Money, P. Jay-Z, and Jay Beats, Jay-Z went on to do a lot of stuff with Exhibit. You know what I mean? So branched out. Even Dave Hollister, like he was with Force One Network, and he sang on Brenda's Got a Baby. You know what I mean? So it's people don't know a lot of we out here.
Facts.
Still.
Yeah, facts.
But let's get back to Saafir. I mean, Saafir probably one of the most unique and unique wordsmith that we've had, right? He was, me and Forax, we've been talking about, like we've been in the presence of people who actually not master but take their craft very, very seriously, and they are intense at what they do. Tupac with being just so driven and focused. Shock with just being such a meticulous musician, and just really like he could hear something like a shh underneath a bass. You know what I mean? When he's mixing, he's just that intense with it. Saafir with lyrics and cadence, and just being very precise about how you move over a beat, and just almost like a jazz musician. Like I am, you know what I mean? Just I don't know if we've had somebody that did that and could do it at the level that he did it. And he influenced artists like Pharoah Monch will be one of the ones that tell you like, bro, you set the bar up there. And Saafir was that guy, but he worked at it, and he took it very seriously, and he had pride in it. And so I think that he should be remembered and revered for that, among many other things.
I agree. Yeah, that style was one of a kind.
One of a kind.
I think that it also speaks to like that era of hip hop where it was like no biting allowed.
None.
Now it's not just acceptable; it's kind of encouraged to sound like what everybody else is doing. But back then, like, I feel like if you had something that sounded like somebody else, people wouldn't fuck with you. If you had a creative style, you had to defend that and call people out for biting it. And the way Saafir rhymed is still like I haven't really heard anybody else catch. It's like an offbeat flow pattern that's still on beat and start.
Yeah, that's
and
what
stop,
I'm saying. It's
and
like
it's just
it's abstract.
Yeah, abstract.
It's abstract and on time at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's poetry. You know what I mean? Like it's poetry in motion. I don't know the words, but it's just like, bro, it's like you witness it, you see it, and it's funny because even like I remember, because when we used to make songs back in the day, we always make a cassette out the studio, and then we come back like, yo, listen, I just did this and whatever, and we was working on the Raw Fusion record, I think the second one, and I made a song called Action Packed, and it's got Under P. Courtney, the guy that said 6 million ways to die, choose one. He's on the song with me, and I played it for him, and I'm rhyming, and I do some of that right in it, and then I played it for Saafir, and he heard it, and he was like, "I see what you're doing," But then he smiled. He's like, okay. I was like, oh, okay.
Pulled it off.
Yeah, I pulled it off, right?
Right.
He's fucking with it. I was like, all right, that's cool.
How did he actually end up becoming a member of Digital Underground?
He, and I might, like remember I said, I'm glad you're here, Forax. You might have to help me. But from my experience, from what I know, like I first met Saafir through Mac Moan. Remember I said my guy Mac Moan, he was, moving around the streets in North Oakland, and Saafir was part of the APG crew, Abgar, which is, Abgar right at, what is that? Is that MacArthur, where North Oakland and West Oakland kind of like?
APG is in Action Pack Gangsters.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
With Mellow Mar. He used to be a dancer, right, Saafir? And, with J Cut and all of them. And but he used to run with, Moan and Saafir used to run with each other like 15 years old, stuff like that. And Moan would bring him around. You know what I mean? And even before I really even heard him rap, he used to come around and hang with us. And then it's kind of a little blurry, but once Shock heard him, Shock was sprung. He loved him. And, and the first album that he appeared on Digital Underground was the Body Hat Syndrome, which was basically the Saafir and Cletus Mack album. Oh yeah, I forgot Cletus Mack.
Mm-hmm. Oh right.
To you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But yeah, that album was the Saafir Cletus Mack album, where they were the featured MCs on that album, and Sleuth, who was me and Fuse Raw Fusion's manager, but he was the road manager for Digital Underground, and he also became the manager for Saafir and Hobo Junction, and the Who Riders, briefly. So,
And him and Tupac were roommates.
Yeah, they were very close, and they stayed with each other briefly.
Well, it's no secret that towards what ended up being the later years of his life, he started having really serious health problems. Mm-hmm. And I believe that became public when I think it was actually Shock G, right?
Yeah, he did an interview with a magazine, and Shock, he did the interview thinking that he was helping by shedding some light and maybe bringing attention to it.
Right.
But in a way, at least from Saafir's point of view, it was damaging, right? He wasn't happy about that. And probably, it was done with good intention by Shock, but he probably shouldn't have done that. Saafir, if you want people to know, he should be the one to be able to tell people anything. Anybody, if, I should be able to let you know what's going on with me. Mm-hmm. Because other than that, it was in-house. It was, it was something that was within our collective. We dealt with that, not publicly.
Yeah, well, I remember that made a pretty big wave, but there was actually like a couple of public appearances he made after that, because I was at Dream Day when he performed from the wheelchair.
Yep.
And he also came out at Casual's 20-year anniversary for Fear itself.
Yep.
And was rocking on, which was big because they had the battle back in the day.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Nah, he never lost the bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we done shows. I remember we did a show with Razkaz. Remember that? And we bought him out. He rocked with us there. So he would come out. Mm-hmm. I think that maybe initially he probably didn't want people to see him like that, and that was probably the reason that stopped him first. But once you get comfortable, you never get comfortable, but once you come to the realization this is who I am, then it's easier to get out and do it.
Yeah, you can't blame somebody for wanting to, control how they're perceived and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once you, I think maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but I feel like once you understand that people still love you,
yeah,
regardless, and you still dope, then then you're more likely, you support them.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Right? And we did. So I think that's what made him feel a little bit more comfortable to come out when he would come out.
Right. Yeah. Shout out to my boy Juggernaut, who's Saafir's cousin. I guess he had shown Saafir the video I made about him before he had passed, which I heard he appreciated, which is dope.
Nice.
Didn't get to make the interview happen. Big regret. But like I was saying earlier, I'm glad I get to talk to folks like yourself who really know him, so we could keep that memory alive. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rest in peace to Saafir.
Yeah. Never forget.
Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay. Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay.